Well, welcome back. Another one of our fabulous interviews with a Tucson real estate agent whose life has sort of transcended real estate and is involved heavily within the community. We have Amber with us today. Kind of excited because you have a background that's really interesting for any professional, but especially in the real estate world. Tell us a little bit, like, what did you do before real estate?
So before real estate, I worked 14 years in the nonprofit world. I started my nonprofit career with Susan G. Komen, Southern Arizona. I've worked with Boy Scouts of Catalina Council, worked with Mobile Meals. I've worked with Literacy Connects here in Tucson. So I've had an expansive career in the nonprofit world.
I just think that is fascinating because not only do you work with these organizations, but you get to know them intimately because you're helping to raise funds and you're really developing a community presence for them as well. How did you get involved with that? Like, what was your motivation?
So I graduated from the University of New Mexico with a master's in health education. So I moved to Tucson in 2005, actually. And my first job here was actually at Canyon Ranch.
Okay.
So health and wellness has always been really a big focus of my life. So after my time at Canyon Ranch, I really knew that helping people and helping with wellness was where I wanted to go. And I started volunteering with Susan G. Komen.
That's how they get you. It's those volunteering. I always tell people, be careful volunteering.
Be careful.
Don't sign anything because they will get you.
Yeah. And it's true. I started off on the executive committee with Susan G. Komen, and then it turned into a position, and I helped with one of the races for the cure and turned into a job. And then that led actually to a job with the American Lung Association. I was there actually for 8 years. It was my longest term position. So don't be careful what you wish for. So health and wellness has just really drove me into the nonprofit world. And I found out I really loved, I know this sounds funny, but I loved fundraising and I loved event planning. And that's really a big part of
doesn't sound crazy at all. That sounds like if you enjoy that, then I mean, I don't enjoy that. Right? Event planning for me is like, who is ordering the pizza?
Yeah.
So, yeah, not so much. That's why we have Lisa, because she is the event planner around here.
Yeah.
So you get to know, like, where I think it caught my interest was literacy. Literacy
Connects.
Literacy Connects. I have trouble because I was involved with that when it was like Literacy Connects and there's Literacy Volunteers, like these different organizations that came together.
Yeah.
And formed Literacy Connects, which, if you're not familiar with, is a really great organization here in Tucson.
Really great organization, and they continue to do amazing work in the community. It's one of my jobs right before, actually, that job right after that was the catalyst into my real estate career. So my time in nonprofit ended shortly after that job. And I realized, so my job ended at Literacy Connects and I had a little bit of time I'd been in the nonprofit world for 14 years and took a little bit of time and wanted to figure out, what did I want to do with my life? And someone at the time mentioned, well, what about real estate? So I looked into it. I took the class, and during class time, I really fell in love with real estate. Although it's just class time, but I loved it.
I've never heard anybody falling in love with real estate during class time.
During class time,
most people are like, I became an agent despite I had to suffer.
It was interesting, but I found it fascinating. So actually, after I passed my test, I took a full-time job at the University of Arizona, and finished a year there, and then a part-time job at Mobile Meals of Southern Arizona after that. And right around March 2020, I had been in real estate for about a year and a half, doing part-time nonprofit work, part-time real estate, and just really decided that was the time I wanted to jump in full force, feet first, full time. And so March of 2020, I went full-time real estate.
And so, if I remember, one of the very first transaction prior to that was your own, right? Like you kind of
My very first transaction was my little sister. So,
Okay.
her husband was Border Patrol and they were getting relocated. So it was, so family. But probably close to my second or third was my own house. Yeah, correct.
That's good. So you practice on the family, make sure you got this figured out.
Yeah.
And I'll do my own. I'm like, I got to start with my own.
Yeah.
I find that I talk to agents, and a lot of them kind of got started because they had an experience and they either had a really good experience or a really bad experience, and then they wanted to do a better job.
Yeah.
Or wanted to be involved with that world. So there was some connection to their personal transaction that led them into real estate.
Yeah.
You know, when you got started though in 2020, full time, like, okay, you know what, enough of this transition, I'm ready.
Yeah.
And then the world shut down.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was that?
So I was working with a coach. I was at a coaching program at the time, and my coach and I were talking, and I said, okay, this is either going to be the best thing ever, or I'm going to end up waiting tables after this. And, 2020 was an absolutely amazing year. I mean, we all hit the ground running. There was no stopping that whole entire year. So it was definitely an amazing choice. I have no regrets about going full time in 2020. I don't think I could have done it if I wasn't full time in 2020. It was busy.
Very interesting time in our world because the world is shut down and you're meeting with people and but the stimulus that was happening and driving these interest rates down and people were wanting to buy, it was a very surreal time, I think.
It was. I mean, we had clients that, there were lines outdoors when listings would hit the market. People were wearing masks, and we were carrying around boxes of gloves and Clorox wipes, and but it was the busiest time.
Probably a very interesting time for someone with a public health background to be involved in real estate. It's like the exact right thing that you're the person they needed.
Yeah. And it's so funny because when I graduated college with my health education, honestly and truthfully, what I really wanted to do with my life was work for the CDC and do pandemic work. That was what I was really most interested in. So it was kind of interesting to watch the pandemic unfold and how the world was unfolding. I realized quickly that I'm not very good at statistics, and so that was not my thing. But it was really interesting because that's what I had wanted to do for a lot of my 20s was work for the CDC and things like that.
So now we're into 2023. We're in a different environment. Mm-hmm. That's definitely more challenging. How are you finding it now?
So honestly, 2023 has been as busy for me as 2020 was. There are different challenges, not as much inventory, for buyers. We're seeing in some price ranges, multiple offers. So people don't have as much time to think about houses in some price ranges.
It's a very, again, I think the market that we're in now is also somewhat surreal. It's completely different reasonings, but it certainly doesn't feel like we're in a normal market.
Yeah.
Are you still with your coach?
I actually just left coaching. Okay. But I was with her for 4 years. So, yeah.
Is that something that I'm always curious because there's some, again, that are, I think with any coach, it's a success story when you graduate from them.
Yeah.
You get to move on to something different. And would that something you recommend for people getting?
Absolutely. Anybody new in real estate, I think coaching or finding any kind of mentor is I highly recommended. And, find somebody that has experience and that can. My coach was really great in 19, 20, 21, 22. Keeping me on a path, there's 2020 and
for 1920
or in 2019, 2020,
gotcha.
2021, just keeping me on a path because there's, real estate is very cyclical, up and down. Mm-hmm. There's busy times, there's slow times. So for me, she was my accountability partner, and one of many accountability partners, but she kept me on a path. So when I started to not do, phone calls or emails, she would keep me accountable and make sure that I was staying true to the plans that I had made for myself. So I think it's great for anybody new in the business, or even anybody that's been in the business for a while that, needs to get back on schedule.
I 100% agree with that. The coaching, and I've gone through different periods in my career of coaching, and they've been different coaches. There's different goals, and some, they help me get to a certain spot, and I think we both recognize that this is what we needed to achieve together. And then you move on to something different. When you're talking with these coaches, I'm just curious, was it all business, or did they help you with kind of like a work-life balance?
My coach was great helping me with work-life balance. I've gone through a lot of different personal challenges throughout the last 4 or 5 years. So she was always really great helping with both of those things, because our professional life sometimes can't be as successful if our personal life is going through turmoil too. So she was really helpful keeping both sides balanced, or helping keep both sides balanced.
Yeah, when you jump into the business and hit the ground running, as you said, as fast as you did, yeah. I can imagine that the personal life, it's easy to sort of push that aside, and then you get to a point in your life, you're like, wait a minute, this isn't working out right. I mean,
and real estate is 24/7, 365. I mean, we don't necessarily have weekends on nights off like a lot of other companies. So it's easy to lose the life side of the balance. Yeah.
Any quick tips for someone that's, again, kind of getting into this and trying to figure out, like, how do I determine what's the right balance?
I think for everyone it's different. So, I'm a single person. I have 2 dogs. So my life balance is just making sure that I take time for me. Somebody that has a family with kids, their life balance is going to look a lot different, making sure they're home for dinner or have time for soccer practice or choir or whatever their life might be. So I think, just finding your own personal balance. But in our coaching, a lot of times we've been told, if you need to subsidize and have somebody, you pay for somebody to pick up your groceries, or you're getting a housekeeper, or, you find that the things that you can outsource so that you can successfully live your personal life and your professional life, find those balances.
I like that. That's a good, I think that's really good advice, because there's things that I am not good at doing.
Yeah.
And if I could spend a lot of time doing that, or a little bit of money to have someone else do that,
yeah,
and frees up some time.
If you're going to fight with your partner or spouse over, who's doing the laundry or who's cleaning, when, if you can figure out how to budget that and then spend quality time with your family, it creates that balance.
There are a lot of fights in my household over who's doing the laundry, when it's sad because I live alone. I have these arguments all the time.
All the time.
Who's doing it today? Yes, I will.
Why should I do that for you?
Yeah, my pups not gonna.
Yeah.
I've tried to train him on the laundry, but he's like, no.
Same.
I'm not good.
Yeah.
I'll just sit here and make sure this couch doesn't move away.
I fight the dogs on who's going to vacuum up all the dog hair. Exactly.
They usually win that argument.
Yeah.
Well, you've been doing this for a fair amount of time now, and I think given the amount of volume that you've been doing, it's sort of like you've been doing it for 10 years.
Sometimes it feels like it.
Where do you see yourself going? Are you happy with this? Is this something you feel like you're moving forward?
Yes, I love real estate. So, whenever I meet people out in public, we start having conversations, and they say, oh, well, you probably don't want to talk about it. And I will always tell them, I will talk about real estate all day, every day. It's something I am very passionate about. And I think, real estate changes so dramatically all the time. There is never a transaction that is the same. Mm-hmm. So as a realtor, constantly learning every single transaction. So I think that's something else I love about it. Is every day is a new day. Every day is a different day.
Well, I think that's a testament to the fact that you've been successful in 2 sort of polar opposite types of markets. That you're doing as well now as you did in 2020 is a testament to your ability to learn, grow, and adapt. I think that's fabulous.
Well, and to speak a little bit back to, something for newer agents. It is a different market from 2020. You have to work harder now. And I think I am a little fortunate that I came in 2018, that, in 2018, we had to work a little bit, houses didn't go listed one day and off the market the next. So we're a little bit back to that, where you have to market your properties. You have to go out and talk to your sphere to find clients. We have to actually do work now again. Things are moving, I guess, just differently now, but
But
it's exciting.
That's what you said about real estate. It's always going to be different.
It's always different.
Next year will be different, and different market, different climate, and we'll find a way through it.
I think if you're a person that doesn't like change, real estate's not the place for you.
All right. That's the nugget to take away from it.
That's my take on it.
How do people find you? Do you have social media, websites? How do people track you down?
I do. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. Amber Biddison, Realtor.
Okay. Business pages or personal pages?
Both.
Okay.
Either way. They all kind of blend together these days. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. This is fun.
This was fun. Thank you so much.